right, we are back for another episode, and I think we prefaced this last week that we were going to have some athletes on, so very excited to be talking to Raelin Chaffin today, who had an amazing year, which ended in a golden ticket, which I'm sure we'll get into, but we had the opportunity to work with you, Raelin, last summer, and so we just kind of wanted to talk through your journey because it's an incredible story, a player development story, which we love, and so that's, we're so excited to have you on. So maybe if you want to just start by kind of telling the listeners about your story, where you finished your career, where you're off to next, anything you want to share.
Yeah, so I committed to LSU when I was a freshman in high school, and so I played at LSU for 3 years, met a lot of great people, had a great time. I just knew that there was more to my story, more to my journey. So last summer, I entered the portal, which was the scariest thing I've done in my entire life, and it's just a bunch of unknowns. And so I go in the portal. I ended up finding my home at Mississippi State, and while on my visit there, they were just like, hey, have you heard about OGX? And I was like, yes, I have. I worked a lot with just Riker when I was at my time at LSU, so I knew about it. And so he was always like, yeah, then he started working for y'all. And so I always wanted to go. And so I remember I came last summer, and it was just like not only just like working with y'all, but like it was like almost like a therapy session that I really needed. And so I had a great time with that. And then obviously I go back to school, and I'm excited because y'all are going to come back again and work with us. And then I get an unexpected diagnosis, and so I have to come home. I'm home for a month, and then I finally come back, and it's like, wow, I missed a whole month of softball plus some, because once I came back, I still couldn't participate fully. And so I'm like, dang, that really sucks. But it's like I had Coach Tara McKinney, and I worked with her a lot. And so when I came back for the spring, it was just kind of like go time. And we had a lot of scrimmages and whatnot, but she really just bought into me and didn't try to change me or make me something I'm not. She just embraced everything I had going on. And then, we started out our season versus Nyjah Kennedy in Clearwater, which was crazy, but we ended up winning 3-1, which was super cool. We actually went 4-1 in Clearwater. But long story short, we're about to go play our senior weekend against Ole Miss at home, and we get told we have to go to this baseball thing to announce us playing for senior weekend, and it's called Super Bulldog Weekend because like baseball was at home, softball was home, track, tennis. It was like just a crazy weekend. And so they're like, okay, so we have to all dress the same, and y'all are going to get up here, and they're going to put the camera on y'all. We're just going to say, promote softball. So first they get up and they call out Sierra. And I'm like, oh, I'm so happy for Sierra. Like, she deserves it. Because, like, she has been, like, just such a freaking starter for our offense. I mean, she is such a leader, such a great person. And so they do her whole thing. Like, we're all so excited for it. And we're like, okay. But now for real, in the third inning, we are actually going to announce that we're playing, like, senior weekend is, everyone needs to show up. And so I'm just standing in the back, and I'm like, okay, we're going to promote, us playing this weekend. And they're like, oh, just kidding. We have another golden ticket. And at that point, like, my friend Taylor, like, grabs me and puts me to the front because I was sitting in the back. And I'm like, oh, my God. I literally just couldn't believe it. It was just the craziest moment of my life. And then they, like, 30 seconds later, I see, like, my mom, my dad, my sister, my fiance. I'm like, oh, my gosh. Like, it was just crazy. And so that was on a Tuesday. We didn't play till a Thursday. And so I'm like, y'all get to spend the whole week with me here? Like, it's just, like, it was so awesome. It was just incredible. But, yeah, I can't say enough about how good my time was at Mississippi State. You just don't know what you don't know. And I'm so thankful I found out because I'm like, this has just, like, changed, like, my entire thought process on softball. Like, I'm just so happy that it, like, almost hurts so bad to leave. Like, I'm thankful I got to experience something that hurts to, like, walk away from. Because, like, it was just, I don't know if I would have felt that in my other position. And so it's like, I'm just super thankful that I had that spot where it's like, I'm leaving people that I love so much that it hurts so bad, but it hurts so good. And the same way, it's just a full whirlwind of emotions.
Yeah. I was going to go back to really the beginning, and I'll let Ashley kind of kick off because when you said coming to OGX the first time felt like a therapy session, we have said like so many times on this podcast and just in general that a lot of times at people's assessments, they like cry, and it always sounds weird to people. And we're like, no, it's not sad. it's like, I think there's just something about.
Yeah, it's a release.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I just feel like someone actually cared. Like, I just feel like the whole time no one understood. Like, I'm just not, I'm not a typical 6 foot tall, super lengthy, like in long pitcher. I'm just not. And I'm like, everyone's trying to make me like do things. And I just don't know if I can actually do them. Like, I don't know if my body actually works like that. And so to hear someone like, validate how I'm feeling, I'm like, oh my God. Like, I remember I got in the car, we had a little break in between when I was going to get lunch. I got in the car with my mom and I'm like, oh my God, like they get me. Like, they understand, like, I'm not going to be like, my tall other pitchers. I'm just going to be what I can be, and it's good enough. And they told me it's good enough. And I'm like, that's just what I needed to hear. Like, I'm good enough and I can move forward and not have to compare myself to other people because my body does this for a reason.
Yep. Can I chime in now, Krista? I know you're asking the thing.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, I was going to ask you to elaborate on how.
I know. I'm always like, is it my turn? Is it my turn? There are always, we really do have the privilege of working with, a lot of different athletes at high school level, college level, pro level, also different coaches. And there are just certain stories that seem to like hit my soul like a little bit deeper than normal. And your story definitely is one of those. Like when I watched your golden ticket thing, like, man, that one really got me. Because I just was like, this is a really important story for young athletes, like, high school and early college, to really like learn from and listen to. I felt like when I met you last summer, you looked very uncertain, or maybe you were like sure of yourself, or like, but why isn't anybody else sure? Like there was some sense of like, like frustration in like uncertainty. And I could tell that that's not your I had just met you that day, but I don't know. I always think like when you have the soul of a pitcher, when you meet someone and you get them, like you just, I don't know, there's something about the way you can connect with someone, like you can see them and you can like feel their energy. And so even though I had just met you, I just like got this feeling from you that you were like feeling uncertain, and that was like not a common feeling for you. And you were just like, I want to get back to like who I really am and the feelings I normally have about myself. And I agree. I felt like in that even single day of like assessment and conversation and therapy, which actually a lot of people call it therapy. So that's interesting, but in that like therapy session that we had, it's like I could like see you come back to life in that moment. Like in that moment.
I feel like I was finally given like answers to things where it's like, I was always told like, my foot, the way I'm dragging my foot is, causing X, Y, and Z. But then y'all told me like, no, it's just like my length of my arm. I still would tell the chick whenever my curveball or my bicep would hurt or my curveball would go better. I'm like, I need to add length in my arm. Like they always told me, put more length in my arm. And it's just like, I was hearing different things and hearing different answers. And it was like, I felt like what y'all were giving me, I could accomplish. It's like, you're not telling me to do something that I just feel like my body can't control. It was like, add length to your arm. Like, okay, I can make my arm straighter. I can do that. Like, I can actually do that. And then it was like, I would do the plyos. I was just given like a set of things to do that I felt like I could accomplish.
Yeah.
And so just for me, it made my goal just seem like it's like right there in front of me. Where before it felt like I had to go so far just to like get past, to one spot. But for me, it felt like I had such a reachable and attainable goal that y'all set for me. And I'm like, I can get there. I really can get there.
Absolutely. And I think like when we always like talk about, our assessment process and the level of technology and the information you could get, like it's amazing, no doubt about it. But it's also like, I'm like, there are real people and real stories behind this, right? Like this is an example where everyone knows what they see is your story from this season. That is what is out there and facing everyone. And I think in my mind, the power of your story is actually the story that led up to this season for you. The courage, first of all, leaving LSU under terms, like you walked in our doors and you were like, I have nothing but the utmost like respect, admiration. Like that conversation with Beth Torina was so hard because this is not we're not leaving on negative terms. Right. And I think she did a an interview after that you guys faced them. It was in the SEC tournament, right? Was it the tournament?
Yeah.
And had the same, I thought of the conversation you and I had when she was giving that interview of just like, I'm so happy for her, I'm so proud of you. And I just think like, you know, especially in like portal world, to be able to say that you can leave a place because you just know for a variety of reasons it just isn't the right fit. Maintain a level of respect, professionalism, relationship, right? Still have that coach like really want what's best for you. I think just like that part of the story is, first of all, I think overlooked. It's just like, you know, this time of year, people can really like shoot the portal down and attack the portal. And I just think like you are such a great representation of like how to handle that well. You know, you were scared because you had 1 year left. It's like you were like feeling in my mind, like, I've got to get this right. Like I don't have a chance to like, and so one, I just think, you know, I have so much respect for you, Raelin, for how you like handled exiting a university, but maintaining a good, positive professional and relationship there, and then moving forward. And I just think, you know, for us at OGX, it's so much about like, we use slogans like bet on me. It's about like giving an athlete's story back to them. And I think oftentimes when we meet athletes, sometimes at the high school level, but oftentimes at the college level, something has happened. It doesn't mean like, oh, they're playing for a bad coach, a bad program, or it's just something has happened in their career where like their story has been taken from them. It's like they're no longer in control of like what's going to happen next. And I think for us, yes, we want to give you the X and O's of the, because that's important to like, listen, stop throwing darts at a dartboard, stop guessing what's going on. Let's get the X's and O's. But the therapy session you're talking about here is really about like, we see you, take your story back, educate yourself about who you are, and feel that fire inside of you again. Like light yourself back up and like, I know who I am, damn it. Like, you know, like I know why I was confused of who I was, but now I know who I am, and like take that into your next journey. And I think, man, you are such a great example of that. And then the success that you were able to have. I mean, your career is really like such a divide between like chapter 1 and those 3 years, initial, and now, and your career's not over. Now, because of this year, you get to obviously extend it into AUSL, which I'm so happy for you for. So I just think I have just so much admiration and respect for you. And I think you're such a great role model for athletes of just like, they often think like, oh, I signed. I bet when you thought you committed to LSU, you're like, I did it. I did it, you know?
And that's why I think it's why it was so hard going into the portal too, because I'm like, gosh, people are gonna think I'm like I'm a quitter and that I can't finish it out here. And I remember I had a conversation with someone the other day, and I was like, I want people to think that I went about everything the right way. Like, I don't want people to sit here and think that I just quit because it got tough. I just quit because I knew it wasn't a right fit, and I knew I couldn't reach my max potential. And so I had to do what's best for me, and I left. And it's like, I just really hope people can see that I try to go about things the right way and not burn bridges and not do this, because I just wanted it to all move and work smoothly. And so just to hear you say that really just brings peace of mind, because it was just a huge fear of mine that, like, you know, my teammates were going to think differently of me, which they never did. They were nothing but amazing. So you always tell yourself worse things than what's going to happen. Like, I stressed myself out so bad about everything, and then you go through it and you're like, oh, it wasn't that bad actually. It was actually okay. I actually got through it and I was good. So I really appreciate you saying all that.
I think there's just it's an important lesson to learn. Like, you can, not all athletes and coaches or athletes and programs are the right fit. You can still have a ton of respect for each other and have a great relationship, but there's coaches have systems, right? And that system is not for all athletes. And so I think, the like charge with the portal, man, I hope people can listen to this episode and really understand that, like, these are real athletes with real stories. And it's not, you have no idea how they exited, whether it was led by them, their coach, you know, if it was amicable and what they decided. And like, what a success story. Your story's unbelievable. You know, just the
I actually, as you were talking about it, I forgot about the freaking diagnosis, which is crazy. We should come to that.
Yeah.
But also just I refound myself, and then whoops, there was this giant hiccup in the road, and then here I came back. Yeah, it's just it's incredible. It's an incredible story. Before we get into that, like getting into the X's and O's a little bit, and maybe Ashley, you can start this or whatever feels comfortable, of like what you guys kind of saw and identified. I mean, I don't want to get into every detail, but like kind of what was the overarching theme of like, hey, you are going to have success at this level. Here are the things about you that you need to like take back and own, because I think that's a big part of it. And obviously, Raelin, when you say like, you believed in me and I saw I could do it, and all of that comes from like, not just like, we believe in you, but like really like factual information of what your story was. So I'm just curious, obviously I wasn't in that, just like of kind of overarching, not to get into every details, but what was kind of some of the themes of that?
Yeah, I'll start with that. I think a lot of times what happens in pitching is like people all over the country do this. We see a really good athlete and then we like video their patterns and we're like, see, kids across America, that's what you need to do, right? And I think there's a reality where there are times where coaches have like certain styles or certain things that they kind of attach to, and that's fine. And a lot of coaches have a ton of success with that. But a lot of athletes will just not be able to jump into that mold. And some will and can have a ton of success that way, and a lot won't. And I think what was really important for you, Raelin, is to come to a place like OGX where we are like, there is no mold.
Yes.
Human movement. Pitching is not pitching mechanics. Pitching is human movement. Human movement has no mold. It's way too complicated for that. And so what we were able to identify with Raelin is that she was sort of fighting, early rotation, essentially, in the motion. And what that was doing and what that was leading is for her to compensate later down the chain, and was, as she was mentioning, having some like rotational issues, kind of that top of arm circle, and then a lot of arm stiffness. And, with arm stiffness comes things like, sometimes it's not always a velocity thing, but it can be command based, it can be brake based. And so I think when she's talking about like, oh, I need a little more length in my arm, the concept was really about how she was fighting her ability to just like unravel aggressively from the ground, start to drive rotation from the lower half. And because of that, it impacted her arm action. It was sort of like X's and O's with that. And so, I think during our debrief, it gave us this opportunity to really be able to show her the connectivity of the motion. At the end of the day, what you do on the ball is connected to arm action. And what the arm action is able to do is directly related to like what your body gives you very early in the motion. And so what we did is we not only did a debrief of her assessment, but then we went out and we did a training session, and Raelin and I had a chance to work one-on-one. And I remember the concept of like freedom. I kept saying like, she was, there was like this rigidity, like she was trying to match this, like what pitching is supposed to be. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I was like, you've got to attack this with freedom. Like, this is the part you can control, and then this is the part you go with freedom. And we worked with plyos and we changed intensities, and she left that training session and was like, I feel more like myself. I feel more like me. And so I think it was not only the information for us to like just lay out the impact that, what she thought she's like, isn't that right? Because if someone says this is what it's supposed to look like, and I'm doing that, isn't that right? And so for us to have like connected that for her and then given her another avenue and then being able to measure that it was actually impacting her in a positive way, that was really powerful. Like, I think we sent her home with a program to follow from that point until she got to Mississippi State. And her like buy-in to the program was so strong because of the training session we were to have. Like, she was like, I see it. I feel it. I see it. I know that this is like a better route for me to take.
Raelin, when you were in for your like assessment and training session, based on kind of some of the things Ashley just said, what were like any like aha moments you had, or like feelings of like, oh, this makes sense, or I like forgot this about myself, or something that you really attached to?
I forgot a moment you spoke about, but I remember bringing it up. My fall at Mississippi State was the part where you were like, there was like something where I was like, I just couldn't like move my body correctly, and I kept asking like, is this right? And you're like, whatever is right is what feels right. And I'm like, but is it like technically by the book this is correct? And you're like, just
right.
Move, just feel free, move your body, quit. Like I was like getting a spot where I would like almost be stuck. And I like, so I literally,
you were trying to like achieve positions.
Yes.
Right? Like,
and you're like, you're like, just move. And I'm like, just move. And then I actually started to like feel my body go in different spots. And I'm like, I was always the type of person where I had no body awareness. Like I couldn't feel if my, backside was lagging or what. I just could not feel it. And especially with the plyos, I definitely for the first time felt like how bad my arm circle was. I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's not right. Like once you feel the length with the plyo, like pulling your arm on, you're like, that's how it's supposed to feel. And then it's like you just start really like feeling everything your body does. And I think that was the biggest thing for me, especially this year. Like I actually knew what my body was doing. And I'm like, that's just crazy because you can make so many changes and so many small tweaks when you can like feel your body. And I know that sounds so silly, but like,
no, it doesn't. And you're taking me back to when we were just starting with plyos that day in the training session. And your mom was standing there. Your mom's great, by the way. I remember being like, man, your mom's a rock star. Yeah. And you were throwing plyos and like that, I started to see you come to life in that. And you were like, I feel way different. I'm feeling way better. And your mom was like, how can this be possible? Like, I remember your mom standing there like, wait, seriously? Like, you're like, no, I literally feel like I'm feeling more athletic. I can feel my body. I can do, and I could, all of a sudden you were like back in charge of your own motion. Just when we were in that plyo, that I just had like recollection of that. I remember your mom thinking like, this is crazy. This looks great. I'm so happy. Like there was a moment, there was a real like light bulb during that initial plyo session. You're right.
I'll never forget our plane ride home. We just talked about, and normally I'm like, Mom, I don't want to talk about softball. Like, especially like my last year, I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to talk about it. I want to watch it on TV. And the whole plane ride home, we're just talking about like softball and pitching. I'm like, this is just not me. Like, I'm not the type of person to just sit here and talk about pitching nonstop. Like, I try to have some other life outside of this, but it was just like we were having.
That's
so
the
much
Ashley
fun.
Sunshine effect, I would say, Raelin. Like, don't you want to keep talking about pitching? Because I do. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we just had so much fun. And I'm like, this is not me to sit here and just blab about pitching 24/7. But we were just having so much fun thinking about what I can achieve. Like, it was so much fun. Such a great weekend trip for sure.
Krista, I was going to add one other thing. That I think is also really important for Raelin. You are, and I can see, I haven't met your dad, so I shouldn't say, but I can see definitely part of this comes from your mom, because your mom was so smart and so sharp and asked really, really like detailed, really on point questions. But the reason why I also think you're this like great, I'm going to say like poster child for player development is because you weren't like empty. This wasn't like, oh, your coaches at Mississippi State were like, oh, you should go to OGX and you just like listen to this. Like you were so dialed in and like you absorbed the information, asked the right questions. Like you were in it. Like you were in that conversation. And like your mind was like right next to mine of like, I got to make sure I'm not just going to like nod my head and be like, yep, I get it if I don't get it.
Yeah.
And, yes, you're 20, 21 years old and not like if we have someone who's coming in and seeing us and they're like 15, 16 years old, but like, that's not an age thing. Yeah. That is it is in you. The reason why we say like you're a player development kind of athlete, most athletes are, it's that piece, right? It's that piece of like the hunger for information, the not just like, oh, I hear it and I go about it, but like, I want to really know it. I want to really understand it. I want to make sure when I put it into practice, I know why. That was, I think, when you left those doors, I'm like, she's going to freaking crush it. Because when it's not only the like excitement and the like, okay, I see her soul coming back to life and where I'm looking at you basically like I always say to people like this is the first day of the rest of your life, at OGX, like there's power in this. And I think like I felt that from you, but I was also like, she's going to take this and she's going to crush it. Now, I don't know if I thought you were going to crush it as much as you freaking did, as you actually crushed it. Maybe I did, but like you really crushed it, But I knew that because of like your investment in the level of information and details. And I think that's an important piece as well. You can't just like hand someone information and hand someone the program. And they just follow it and go about their business. Like there's a choice there, So that's another thing that I would say is a really important piece of your story that I think.
Yeah, I think that's why I grew so much this year too, because I wasn't afraid to ask questions and maybe get an answer that I don't like. Like, I'm not afraid to ask, like, hey, is especially about like just spin and pitches, like, hey, was that a good pitch? And for Coach T to be like, no, that's probably going to get hit over the fence if you throw it there to a decent hitter. And I'm like, oh, okay, so I probably shouldn't. I should probably make my spin better. I wasn't afraid to get an answer that might hurt my feelings. So that was like a super big thing for me, because normally I just want to make everybody happy and go about my business and do this and that and be a people pleaser. But I think this year I just really bought into myself and to my team, and it was just like so different, and I just really matured. But I think a lot of that started from hearing y'all maybe tell me some things, and I'm like, dang, like I do have, bullet spin on my curveball. Maybe I should fix that, because it's not going to get good break if it's just straight bullet spin. So just hearing things from y'all that like might have like got me a little bit, but it helped me grow in the long run. I'm just like, I have to know the hard stuff so I can go and get all the good things that I want out of the experience.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yep.
Do you want to, let's kick forward just like a tiny bit to in season. Like, are there any moments you had in season where like these concepts really hit, or that first weekend you guys were out and you were, putting it all to the test the first time? Like, how was the experience once you were in season and trying to sort of like, now I'm this reinvented person, I'm out here sort of like in a different capacity. How did that translate for you as the season went on?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Thank God I was reinvented, because the amount of film people have on you in college football is ungodly. And so I remember Coach T, that was kind of like the thing that she would always tell me to like bring me back down. She's like, you're not the same picture you were. You're not the same Raelin that's in all this video of fit. That's not you. And so I think for me, I went out there thinking like, God, I feel bad for these hitters, because they looked at a whole thing of wrong film, and here I am now completely reinvented. And so I think for me, it was almost just like, I was just so confident in what I have. But I was also confident knowing that like, y'all have no clue what I'm throwing at y'all right now. And then to bring the change up into it, I mean, that was just like completely just like, I never had a good change up. And so bringing a change up into this, I'm like, wow, now I have something to keep y'all off balance, and I can like, go, side to side and up. I'm like, y'all have no clue what's coming at y'all. But I think a lot of it too, I remember specifically, I was just saying it before we started recording, but about, we were playing Texas one weekend, and God, my curveball had not been working. And I'm like, I can't afford against number one Texas to not have my curveball working. And I remember she asked me like, well, Raelin, is there length in your arm? I'm just kind of like sarcastic, and I'm like, well, you know what? I haven't thought about it. I really haven't thought about it. And she's like, well, maybe you should try to add more length in your arm. And even with my rise, it was like just that one small thing. And I think when I made that one small change, it also activated the rest of my body to remember what it was like when I was doing things correctly. So it could have been a whole number of things that I was doing wrong, like whatever, but just thinking about adding length to my arm, and then just like a switch went off, and I'm like, I got to do this, and this. And so just like having small little things like that to just trigger my mind and be like, oh, nope, you got to do this, was so huge. And I never had it before. Whenever I would, go through slumps with like my pitches, that was it. I couldn't come out of it. Like I would be in that slump for like a good 2 to 3 weeks. And so just to have like a keyword to pull me out and just things like that, I mean, it was just so huge. And I think it goes back to body awareness, like to like know what I'm feeling and know that I'm not getting good spin on the ball and this and that was just so huge during the season, because whether you like it or not, you're going to go through seasons where your pitches aren't the same, and let's just say one day your rise won't work, or whatever, and you got to change it, and you got to figure out what's going on. And so I think for me, that was just the biggest turning point in my season this year, just being able to like recognize when to change things, how to make in-game adjustments. Like that's just like a big part of maturing for me that I didn't do previously.
I'm hearing I'm kind of like circling back to some of the comments I made earlier. Like I'm hearing such a transformation in your train of thought, where you were so body focused, like so body focused of like I said, achieving positions, that the arm action was pretty limited for you when we first met you. And everything you're talking about adjustability, like sorting through something. You're so focused on arm action. In how you're talking right now. And not to say obviously like getting into good patterns is not important, but I think like what a switch for you in understanding like like this is what I'm doing body wise. So at the end of the day, when I'm in game and I am in season, it's about arm adjustability. And like, I need to make sure I'm preserving arm action. If my arm action is stiff, if it's getting, away from me, that's what I need to stay focused on. And I think I'm hearing like such a shift in that, like versus a year ago where it was all about like, you wanted to look at video and dissect your every move. I'm like, Raelin, that's not how the motion works, And so, what a great shift. And I think like that's important. Like I said, I'm not saying like, who cares what your body is doing, but the arm action is key. Right. And so, for you to not only understand that, switch your train of thought, know that the adjustability of arm action is important. And then to have like certain training tools like plyos, different intensities, etc., to be able to get into better arm action. That's huge. That's really, really huge.
All right. I'm going to end with one question, which is, if someone is, I guess you could take this broadly too, because obviously you have such an interesting story with the transfer portal, and this is not just like about OGX. So let's take it kind of broadly. But if you were talking to someone who's thinking about learning more about themselves in the way that OGX can, or other places, if you can go get that level of information, thinking about someone of like, I'm like in this place in my journey where I like don't feel like myself. I'm trying to kind of figure out how to develop in the next thing. What would you say to them? Like, what are the key takeaways that you would want that person to know or kind of take with them in whatever decision they make in that next phase?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to talk to you, and I would talk to I coach a handball team, and I have told all of my girls, I'm like, you have to go if you want to get to that next level. Because yes, it's super cool to learn about, just from like a normal pitching coach about like, oh, it's how you throw a curveball, it's how you throw a rise ball. But don't you want to see like how you are throwing your curveball and how your hand's working on a curveball, or how you're throwing your rise ball? Like, I'll never forget, the coolest thing we did was the slow motion camera. And I'm actually watching all my fingers come off the ball. And it makes so much sense why all my stuff is moving like a screwball, because how my fingers are coming off of it. And so I'm like, if you just want to get to that extra level of just getting into every single thing, knowing how your body moves, which is so, so important. I mean, I just feel like it's a must. And like, I wouldn't be where I am today had I not gone and done my full biomechanical assessment and seen everything and just had that one-on-one time, did the plyos, did the summer program. I mean, I just would not be where I am now because of just the confidence I feel knowing that I am confident in how my body moves and why it moves that way and how I can do things to better myself. So I just think it's a must. I will never be able to thank y'all enough for all the things that I've learned. But I think it's super important for people to realize, like, it's just, you need to know how your body moves, especially nowadays. Not everyone's the same. You can't put everybody, in one box and make them do one thing. Everyone's built different. Everyone moves different. So yeah, I just think it's super, super important to get to that next level.
Yeah.
I will say, Raelin, I'm so damn proud of you. I'm so happy for you. Like, and the fact that your career now gets to be extended is so well deserved. And I think really, I know I started this episode in saying this, but I can't emphasize it enough. You are just an amazing story. You have an amazing story, and you are an amazing role model for, pitchers that are, still looking at their collegiate journey ahead of them, or maybe are in the middle of it. Just, again, everything from how you embrace player development, how you took risk, to even with only 1 year of eligibility left, and the bravery you showed, how you handled yourself along the way. And then honestly, how you handled the adversity, the health adversity that you had when you came in the fall. And I think that's all connected. It's all connected and sort of like what you learned and what you did through the game, and then how you had to handle, the hurdle of real life adversity. So I am so happy for you. I'm so proud of you. You have earned every bit of success and all the accolades that you received this year. And I hope you have a hell of a pro career. You're going to. So I'm really, really excited for that. And what a special experience to have been able to I'm so glad they delivered it like that. Like the golden ticket this year was just so exciting. And it was really rewarding for us to watch that from you. And like I said, we're just really lucky to have had the opportunity to be a little part of your journey.